This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
He had paid a substitute to serve in his place, an option many well-off men in the North took advantage of. Theodore Jr. would later write, "I had always felt that if there were a serious war, I wished to be in a position to explain to my children why I did take part in it, and not why I did not take part in it." But Roosevelt's war fever was actually due to America's fever for war, or at least its long glorification of all things military. The Civil War had erupted just 3 years after Roosevelt's birth in a New York City brownstone, and that terrible conflict had exerted a strong influence on a most impressionable boy. 2 of his uncles on his mother's side served in the Confederate Navy, and little Theodore witnessed his mother, aunt, and grandmother pack small boxes of necessities destined for the wrong side of Federal lines, surreptitiously, of course, while Theodore Sr. was away. Nearly everything about the Civil War seemed glorious to a boy far removed from the actual fighting. The best and most popular songs of the day were martial songs, from the rousing "The Battle Cry of Freedom" and the poignant "Just Before the Battle, Mother," to the tragic "The Vacant Chair." The oversized pages of Harper's Weekly and Frank Leslie's illustrated newspaper were chock full of spectacularly detailed engravings of saber-wielding cavalrymen at full gallop, smoke-belching cannons, and corpse-strewn battlefields. And there were the dignified portraits of the war's many heroes, both North and South: Grant, Sherman, Sheridan, Lee, Jackson, Stuart, and the like. After the Civil War, veterans were showered with adulation for the rest of their lives. The erecting of commemorative monuments and markers on numerous battlefields became a minor industry. And there were the 4th of July parades, the reunions, and for many, high political office. In the United States, the quickest way to fame and votes at election time had always been the winning of laurels on the battlefield. No wonder young men born too late for the great Civil War hoped they would be given their own chance to prove themselves in their own war, on their own fields of valor. Theodore Roosevelt clearly was one of these. In 1882, as if his job as New York State's youngest assemblyman wasn't enough of a responsibility, he joined the New York National Guard, eventually rising to the rank of captain. But the Guard mostly set up camps and drilled, which was a lot like playing soldier. No enemy, no thrill of battle, no glory. Then, in the summer of 1886, Roosevelt sniffed an opportunity to get into a real fight. At the time, he was cattle ranching in the Badlands of Dakota Territory. Roosevelt was one of a number of well-to-do young Easterners who were drawn to the Wild West for its business opportunities and adventure. As a passionate hunter, the little Missouri River country was appealing to him, with its last small herds of buffalo, as well as deer, elk, and even bighorn sheep. "It was a land of vast, silent spaces," he wrote, "of lonely rivers, and of plains where the wild game stared at the passing horsemen." And it was an escape. Roosevelt had lost his first wife, Alice, and his mother on the same cold February day in 1884. His wife to Bright's disease after giving birth to their daughter, his mother to typhoid fever. Roosevelt had met and fallen in love with Alice while a student at Harvard. They had been married less than 3 years. The page in Roosevelt's diary for February 14th, the date of those 2 tragic losses, contains only a black X and the words, "The light has gone out of my life." For Roosevelt, the long days on a working cattle ranch and his numerous hunting excursions helped him push away the sadness and reinvigorate himself. But during his brief career as a rancher, Roosevelt never completely cut his ties to the East or its politics, and his blood rose when he read the newspaper reports of growing tension between the United States and Mexico over the false imprisonment of an American newspaper editor in El Paso del Norte, Mexico. The United States was demanding his release, and Mexico was refusing. Texans called for war, and rumors swirled of troops mobilizing on both sides of the border.